He has the power to vacate this conviction. He has the power to reopen this investigation to find out who did it.
Just because we have a new state's attorney, it's not justification to reopen every criminal case from the last 20 years.
Chambers says there isn't much he can do at this point since he hasn't officially taken office. He says Snow supporters must find new evidence to convince him to give the case another look. McLean County State's Attorney Jason Chambers says many legitimate concerns are being addressed and the rally is just for attention.
If they don't prosecute or if they find somebody innocent, then they should get kicked out. And that's why we urge state's attorneys all over the state to be diligent about looking at the innocent claims, look at them, examine them, and get the people out who don't belong in there.
We wouldn't hesitate a heartbeat to get them out if there was actual evidence of that, but we're not dealing with that or with anything that would lead to that. We're dealing with things that maybe you see in a movie or in television, but the real life implications of that aren't present.
Chambers says many of their requests are just not plausible. He says reopening cases disrespects the juries that have worked those cases previously.
In 2011, Jason Chambers told the media that supporters were going to have to come up with new evidence to convince him to give the case another look. In 2014, Jason Chambers said he wouldn't hesitate to get them out if there was actual evidence of innocence. But he said we don't have that, or anything that would lead to that. He said we're dealing with things that maybe you'd see in a movie or television, but the real life implications are not present, and that reopening cases disrespects the juries. This is not a fantasy movie. This is a living nightmare. The jury's never heard the following new evidence. However, Jason Chambers has had it before him for years. Still, he continues to fight DNA testing in this case. He continues to fight discovery in this case, and he chooses to stand behind predecessors who never disclosed this evidence to the defense and knowingly put perjured witnesses on the stand. Mr. Chambers, how much new evidence do you need? These are mugshots that we got, I think, in 2011 through a FOIA request. The star witness, Danny Martinez, picked these two men out the night of the crime, and he told police it's between these two, neither of whom are Jamie Snow. We do not know how these men were cleared. This is a newly discovered police report from the ISP. It is from a polygraph worksheet from 1994 when Jamie took and passed his polygraph. It's a note that he's given from the state as he's taking notes, questions to ask, and it says, in reference to Danny Martinez, which was the witness airing up his tires, that he says that Jamie Snow was not the person that he saw. This excerpt is from a 1999 interview with star witness Danny Martinez before he identified Jamie Snow, in which he's asking the police why they gave the victim's mother, Brenda Little, his telephone number and had her call him. It's a valid question.
And another thing I wanted to say is that I don't know who called Mrs. Little to have her call me. I mean, that was, I know that her son was involved, and I know Easter's coming around the corner and she's going through a hard time right now. I mean, you could have returned your phone call towards me and, mentioned something to me.
And I did, and I tried doing that. And I'll have to take responsibility for that. And I'll explain to you a little bit later about what transpired. But I did remember something I want to talk to you about. I want to show you 3 drawings.
This is a police report from the first officer on the scene from 1999 interview. It completely discredits Martinez's version of events. However, this wasn't used in trial. He says that no one could have left the scene while he was on the scene. He was standing across the street watching Danny Martinez the whole time, when Danny Martinez says that he almost ran into the suspect. This is a newly discovered police report from the ISP that states that there were 21 latent fingerprints. However, there were only 9 presented at trial. We like to have these fingerprints tested for DNA. This is a lab report stating that blood evidence to be tested was missing, but they proceeded to test anyways, and the blood matched the victim. The problem is there were 2 seals present. Why 2 seals? That means that there was probably previous testing on that sample. What did it reveal? The box was opened, so and they found no sample, so the BPD found the evidence and resubmitted it as Exhibit 2A, and that's when it came out to match the victims. There were 2 rewards offered over a period of nearly a decade. One was for $5,000 and the other one was for $2,500. All the state's witnesses testified they weren't paid, but nobody will tell us what happened to all of this reward money. The following 2 polygraph reports are from jailhouse informants. One is from 1993 and the other is from 1999. These results were never presented at trial. Both of them failed their polygraphs. However, they were put on the stand anyways without revealing that they failed these polygraphs. These are newly discovered letters between state's attorney's office and a jailhouse informant when he was in prison. He was asking for a deal and reward money. He pretty much got the deal that he asked for in 1994. These letters were never disclosed. As far as the testimony goes, assistant state's attorney who actually corresponded and wrote the letter to this informant in 1994 made it crystal clear during testimony and when she was directly examining this witness that he did not contact police until December of 1999, despite the fact that she knew that they had exchanged letters in 1994. She absolutely blatantly lied to the court. We have numerous affidavits from state's witnesses. They were either recanting their testimony, claiming that they were under police pressure, or saying that they were looking for a deal. He told me that he got a time cut in exchange for his testimony. The police questioned me for about 10 minutes and continued to threaten me. Detective Katz told him that unless he testified in the manner that the police wanted, he was going to be in big trouble. All of the testimony implicating Jamie Snow that I gave at the trial was a lie. He said he had no choice and cooperated with them and said the tape that Jamie had confessed to him, and said on the tape that Jamie had confessed to him, even though that he knew that this wasn't true. An affidavit from an eyewitness who was standing across the street said that he can't be sure that he identified the correct person. He was a 14-year-old boy that was standing across the street, and it was after 7, maybe 7:45 at night. And he said at the distance of 200 feet that he couldn't identify his face. And this view right here is a picture of from where that young man's window was to where the red brick building is about where the gas station is. I'm taking a picture, someone's taking a picture of me. I'm standing by the red car in front of the brick building with tan pants and blue shirt. Do you think you could identify me if it was dark? The first officer on the scene and Jamie's trial attorney both landed up going to prison as well. Former state's attorney, now judge, Charles Renard, has had 2 cases overturned, due in part for failure to disclose evidence to the defense. One is the Eric Drew case, and the same detective, Detective Dan Katz, was also on Eric Drew's case. He was found by a higher court to have hidden evidence in the form of favors that he gave a witness before he testified against Eric Drew in his case. The other case is Alan Beeman. and he was represented by the Center for Wrongful Convictions, and his case, I think, was overturned in 2008. Both of these cases were tried around the same time as Jamie's was. I want to thank you for taking the time to look at the new evidence in this case. I'm sure this video will be updated as we continue to uncover new evidence in this case. And please visit freejamiesnow.com. You can contact us through the website if you have any information about this case, or you can call for free. It's free and confidential at 888-815-9299. Thank you.